You know that device you're watching this on? Your phone, your laptop, maybe even your smart TV? Well, it turns out every single one of them has this invisible building attached to it, just filled with thousands of hidden doors. Today, we're going to take a tour, find out what they are, and more importantly, who might be knocking.
Welcome to Super Courseva. Unlock the secrets of the internet and master computer networking. Let's dive in.
You know that device you're watching this on? Your phone, your laptop, maybe even your smart TV? Well, it turns out every single one of them has this invisible building attached to it, just filled with thousands of hidden doors. Today, we're going to take a tour, find out what they are, and more importantly, who might be knocking. Here it is, 65,535. That's a huge number, right? Well, that's exactly how many virtual doors or ports your computer has. It's kind of wild to think about, and every single one is a potential pathway for communication, both the good kind and, well, the bad kind. So what exactly is a port? Honestly, the easiest way to picture it is just like a numbered door. Think of a giant hotel with thousands of rooms, each with a unique number. Your computer uses these port numbers in the exact same way to make sure all that internet traffic, coming and going, ends up at the right program. Now, here's a key detail. A port is really just a number, a potential door. By itself, it's just an address. But a socket? That's where the magic happens. A socket is what you get when a program actually goes ahead, unlocks, and opens that door. So if the port is the door, the socket is the open doorway with a guard standing there ready to talk. Okay, with 65,535 doors, you can imagine it would be total chaos if every program just picked one at random, right? To stop that from happening, there's a group called the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, or IANA. You can think of them as the building's management. They've put a strict set of rules in place to keep everything running smoothly. And believe me, what IANA came up with, they aren't just friendly suggestions. They are the fundamental zoning laws for the entire internet. By splitting up all 65,535 ports into three very distinct zones, they built a system that makes sure when your browser looks for a website, it knows exactly which door to knock on every single time. So you ready? Let's start the tour of this digital building. We're going to check out each of these three zones, from the super exclusive entrances on the ground floor, all the way up to the temporary passes that folks like you use every day. First stop, Zone 1. The system ports. These are doors numbered 0 all the way up to 1023. And let me tell you, these are the most important, the most famous, and the most heavily guarded doors in the whole building. The best way to think of these is as the VIP entrances. They're reserved for the absolute bedrock services of the internet. For example, when you visit a regular website, that's almost always port 80. Secure websites, that's port 443. These doors are so vital that only the system administrator, the super user, is allowed to have the keys. Okay, moving up from the VIP level, we get to the next massive section of floors. This is Zone 2, the user ports. It's a much, much bigger area, and these doors have a totally different job. Think of this zone as a huge street filled with registered businesses. You know, if a company makes a specific database program or a popular video game, they can go to IANA and officially register a port number. This basically gives their software a permanent public address, so all of us users always know where to find it. And for our final stop, we've arrived at the biggest and busiest zone of them all, the ephemeral ports. These are the doors that you are constantly using, probably hundreds of times a day without even knowing it. The name ephemeral pretty much says it all, right? It just means temporary. See, when you go to a website, your computer needs a temporary return address to get the data back. So it just grabs a random, high-numbered port from this huge range. It's exactly like getting a temporary visitor pass from a security desk. As soon as you're done, that pass is handed back, and the number gets recycled for the next person. Okay, so let's tie this all together. Let's look at how this whole system actually works, step by step, every single time you open your browser. This is your digital visitor pass in action. So check this out. First, you type in google.com. Your browser sends a request out to Google's well-known VIP entrance, which is port 80. But in that request, it also says, hey, when you send a reply, send it back to my temporary visitor pass, port 50,123. Google's server gets that and then sends the whole web page right back to that specific temporary port on your machine. And then once the page is loaded, poof, that connection is closed, the visitor pass is torn up, and the number goes right back into the port. Now, understanding all these doors is pretty cool, but it also brings up a really important question, doesn't it? How do we make sure only the right people are coming through them? And that, my friends, is where we have to talk about security.
So, just as a quick recap, we've got our three main zones. We have the VIP entrances for essential services, the registered shops for specific apps, and the temporary visitor badges for your browser. The big question is, how do we protect all of them?
Well, the biggest threat out there is something called port scanning. It's literally the digital version of a burglar walking down a long hallway and just rattling every single doorknob one by one to see which one is unlocked. Your main defense against this? A firewall. A firewall is your digital security guard. It stands at the main entrance, it checks everyone's ID, and it blocks any and all traffic that's trying to get to a door that isn't supposed to be open. And this brings us to the single most important thing to take away from all of this. The golden rule of network security is actually super simple. Every single open door is a potential weakness. So the rule is, you should only ever have the sockets open that you absolutely need for things to work. Fewer open doors means way fewer opportunities for unwanted guests. So I'll just leave you with this thought. We now know your computer is this huge building with over 65,000 doors, and that your firewall is the security guard standing watch. But the real question is, do you have any idea what instructions you've actually given that guard? Which of your doors right now are unlocked and just waiting for a visit?